Well, first thing I did was I did a record when I was 16, bizarrely, called Bedroom, which was very kind of experimental, ambient, sort of electronica kind of record that I did in my bedroom with just a 4-track and this wave station, which still works amazingly. Through that, I met a director, a guy called Paul Wilmshurst, and he was making quite weird, no-budget, experimental Channel 4 things when Channel 4 was making quite amazingly mad stuff. And he just liked my music and just said, "Look, do you want to try and do some music for my show?" So I did some music for a show. I didn't know what I was doing. I was still at school. I sort of did it after school, like literally between my homework, and he really liked it, and I really liked doing it because it's just a chance for me to make music. And so from that, I just really enjoyed doing it because I would just, suddenly have to teach myself how to play slide guitar, and then like two months later, I'd be doing something totally different that was all synths, and then I'd be trying to do a jazz band. And so basically, amazing process for me just to learn about music. And so I just kept on doing that, and then I've probably been doing that for about, 15 years now, and I still don't really know what I'm doing. You just kind of blunder around, and you pick up lots of stuff, and that's what's really good fun, is you're just always trying to think, right, how could I do something with that would work in a show? I don't know. I mean, like yesterday, here's an example. Like yesterday, I just went back to playing with some pedals. There's a pedal down here. So that's a really old tremolo pedal that I bought years ago, and I was just fiddling around with it, and then I just made a sample pad for myself. Let's find it. Now this is not going to sound very interesting probably, but this is a guitar feedback hum put through a tremolo, and then I'm fiddling around with the tremolo speed, and you can hardly hear it, but it just gives it this really, which is not really going to come across on this very well, I don't imagine, but it just gives this amazing warm sort of sound that's totally natural, but it sounds like a synth. It's got some interesting kind of movement in it, like stereo. And I've been really lucky in the sense I've just worked on so many different projects. I've worked on things with huge orchestras, like I'm trying to think what we did. We did the Awakening film recently, just done the Ghost Recon film, and they were like big Abbey Road, massive choirs, 60, 70 piece orchestras. And what is really interesting is once you start doing that on a regular basis, is you actually start to look at it's almost once you've tried all these different things, you actually can start really being able to look at sound and music in a different way, and you can look at the power an orchestra gives you, but then sometimes the power of one synthesizer can be more powerful than a 80-piece orchestra if it's done in the right way. So you learn what the strengths and weaknesses of every different sort of musical device is, which is really, really fascinating because it's so complicated, it's so deep, you can go there forever, but that is really good fun where I think when you first do an orchestra, you're so seduced by the sound of an orchestra that, you get very excited and you kind of do what's more expected of you. It's when you don't know what once you've done that a couple of times, you think, wow, I want to do something different. That's when it gets really interesting. I don't know, I make a lot of different music, and I'd say there's like different aspects of how I feel about things. Sometimes I've got lots of energy, and I quite like things that are very big and strong and sort of powerful. And then other times I like things that are very sort of homemade and sort of light and kind of slightly whimsical. There's always things in my head that I can't even describe very well, really, I guess, in terms of like my musical approach. I like trying to do things with a very strong, bold idea and throwing that down and then working around that. So often I'll try and come up with, like if I'm doing a program, I'll try and come up with like an idea for the sound, Like, actually, I play you Dirk Gently's this TV show I've just done, and what I really like this piece of music because it really sums up the show. But for me, it's a fun piece of TV music as well because it's so in your face and like memorable and fun at the same time. So it's what it sounds like. So I like this for a number of reasons because it's got what I really like. It's like a mix of real instruments. It's got real drums on there. We've got real double bass, but then we've also got like sampled electronics, synths, harpsichords. You know, all sort of things that I couldn't really put together. You know, if I was doing that all analog, everything live, it wouldn't have the tightness. Unless I had all the best session musicians, it wouldn't have all the sound. Yeah, I can do it quite quickly here. And if it was all electronic, it wouldn't sound as good. And the second episode has a keyboard solo at the end credits, which I'm incredibly happy about. Yeah, bring back keyboard solos on end credits. Yeah, I like the keyboard solos. And getting them on TV is exciting. There's one thing my TV music doesn't have enough of, or any TV music, is keyboard solos. To be honest, I really like doing what I'm doing. So if I was doing what I was doing in 10 years' time, and I was still working on good shows and still writing good music that I thought was good, then I'd be really happy. I'd like to do more films, but I would rather do... I'd be unhappy if in 10 years' time I was doing shit movies that I didn't really care about, that were huge. I'd rather be doing small things that I really cared about. And I know when I've done a piece of work that I think is really good, and I know when I've done something that I think is a bit average. And if you can get a couple of really good things away each year, that's good for you. So, and it's also just that thing of being excited and still caring about your work, and it not becoming a job. Like for me, it's not a job, it sort of becomes your life. It's sort of, and people find it very hard to understand because you write music for a medium like TV and they see it. It's very weird. A lot of people see it in a very derogatory way that you're doing a job. You know, it's like, oh, you just do something you don't care about, it's a bit commercial. Whereas I always think if you're in a band, half the time you're doing the same thing, but you're just, your brief is like you've got to sell singles or you've got to appeal to this kind of market. And what I love about what I do is I just get to, you know, make crazy electronic synthesizer jazz music one week, and then now I'm trying to write like weird country and western songs based on guitar feedback. And you'll just jump around, so you're always excited. Because if I keep doing the same thing, I get bored. So I've been doing this like Dirk Gently, which I've loved, but I've written enough madcap jazz music with harpsichord solos on top for a couple of months. So I need to do something a bit moody now. Synth stuff is interesting because you can create something that's more unique and not a sort of set noise. So sometimes actually just taking, if we just took, let's say this, let's take this kind of like, okay, so you take that, it's when you pull something with it, that's when it becomes interesting. It's like something new. So that on its own is okay. So let's take strobe again. And I'll stick that on it. And strobe on its own, for me, often is too synthy because I don't write a lot of synthesizer-y kind of scores. But it's when you bring it together with other things, it blends so nicely. fiddling around with some of the filters, the sync slightly. Okay, that's not the world's most exciting piece, but it's just, you know, it's suddenly putting two things together that wouldn't be together before. For me, everything is a tool of like, how can I make a noise and how can I make the best noise? And so I really like hardware if it brings something special to what I'm doing. So, you know, I've got friends who like collect crazy, massive banks of synths and always incredibly disappointed when they come around here to see I've only got like 2 of them knocking around, which don't get used that much. But they will if I can get something out of them, like a performance feature, or they've got a sound that is amazing. But I have to write music so fast and pull things back that let's say the sound of messing about on a VCS3 or something, like just making crazy noises, is brilliant, but that might take me half a day to get one. The fact that you can get something so quick is really, you know, I really, really like that about Strobe.